Do you ever, in those situations or just in dating in general, do you ever feel like you need to ask for more nurturing or more emotional sensitivity because of the fact that you're sort of expected, you have all this going on for yourself, maybe you don't need as much care or sensitivity?
Yeah, I need a lot of affection.
Right, totally.
Actually, no, like that's one thing that I actually crave, and I think it's because a lot of people, like you said, on the exterior, you look at me because I handle business and because I do what I have to do, because I hustle, because I grind, because I'm out here living on faith. Like that's a struggle in itself.
Right.
That's difficult in itself. So if I'm dating someone or trying to get to know someone, it's mainly for affection, pretty much for affection.
So welcome to Tea On, where we sip tea and we talk about things, preferably things that matter. And today's conversation, I think, is really timely because we're going to dive into a lot of what it means to be a Black woman and a lot of what it means to be in the dating field as a Black woman, as a successful Black woman, and obviously with the situation that we're in right now, as far as the pandemic goes, and as far as, love across lines goes, a lot of people are online dating. And so we're going to explore those topics, which I think there are a lot of people that I could have had this conversation with, but there is no one I would rather have this conversation with more than Miss Tempestt Henderson, you, because you are, you're so free and open with everything. And I think your authenticity shines in a way that people gravitate towards you. And that vulnerability is a huge tool, and I'm really excited for you to just open up and share your experiences today. But you are an actress, you are the funniest person on earth, and I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, but you're such a light, so I'm so excited. But go ahead.
No, thank you. That was so sweet, Jazz, that little intro. You didn't tell me you were gonna do that. But no, thank you so much. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I feel like because I am so free and so open, it's often misjudged, but I can't help but to be myself. And so this conversation is going to be 100% raw, uncut, unfiltered facts. Okay. I'm name dropping. I'm doing everything. I don't care. Okay.
I want it, and I think we need it right now. I think we need honesty, just raw, real emotion right now, because I think what we're going to talk about today, the truth of the matter is that so many women are experiencing it at the same time, but a lot of us aren't actively talking about what it means to be successful in your own skin and date in a climate like this one, where a lot of times we maybe need to overcome certain stereotypes, or where we need to be, stifling parts of ourselves to stroke male ego and all of that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk about it, because that is how change happens, when we actually talk about shit. So,
right.
Without further, there's so many ways that we could start this, but I think the first thing that I want to even point out beforehand is that the title of this interview obviously is that this is our experience dating as successful Black women, because you have conquered so many goals in your journey as a woman. And I think there is no shame in owning that and admitting that, and also adding that does play a factor in our dating lives. A lot of men, if that's who you choose to date, women as well, that can be an intimidating thing. You have your own. And so I guess the first question that I would ask you is that, having so much of your own, and getting your own apartment and having your own job and having your own money, have you ever felt the need to stifle certain parts of yourself in order to make whoever it is that you're dating feel more comfortable or feel less intimidated?
Yeah, 100%, all the time. As a matter of fact, I purposely don't list my credentials, or I wouldn't say I dummy myself down, or I downplay my situation. But to keep it 100, that's probably the only way to describe it, because that's what I do. And I think it's just to feed, men's egos in a way, because it's not like I can just go on a date or meet a guy and say, oh, hey, I have this and I have this. Can you match what I have? Or can you bring that to the table? Because, honey, I am the table. I can't I can't say these things. You know what I'm saying? So oftentimes I find myself in situations where I'm like, you know what? I have my own money, my own car. I got my own stuff. I don't need a man for any of that. I need a man for X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And I want a man for X, Y, and Z. So when I go out and meet a guy, if they don't, I know this is going to be embarrassing, but like I said, it's going to be 100% because I know I'm not the only one who does this. So far in my dating life in LA, I met this one guy. He was 37. I thought that, I was like, okay, he's a little older because I'm 29. So I was like, let me see what this is about. He wasn't much different. Still a child, still a man child. But when he came over to my apartment, we've been dating for a while, and then he came over to my apartment and he's seen like my apartment and like seen like my lifestyle, and I don't think he could handle it. He literally told me I'm too good for him. I deserve someone better. He can't do this. And I didn't know what that meant. But yeah. So you have that type of guy who literally would tell me straight up, like, I can't do this. Like, you're a phenomenal woman. Like, it's not you. Like, someone else is going to be, super happy. So come to find out, this man was from Chicago. He didn't have a car because he told me Chicago had the best train, like, system in the world. And I'm like, oh, do they? Okay, whatever. I have a car, so that's fine. So I let that slide. Then he was like, he works Postmates, which is not a problem. Like, again, I'm still talking to this guy. I'm like, that's fine. But then he told me he didn't really have a house. Like, he didn't have a home. So he was living in a hostel. Again, not anybody who lives in a hostel, that's fine. But at the same time, you can't just be lying to me, sir. You cannot say, like, so you got 3 strikes, dog. Like, you can't just have 3 strikes. So I got to stop talking to you at that point. But in the beginning, like, he didn't tell me that,
Right.
It's like when they start seeing, like, me and they're like, my authenticity, and they're like, oh, snap, this girl's, like, really about this life. Like, I can't handle it.
Right.
That's one situation. Then I had another situation where I was dating this guy, and he didn't have nothing at all. Actually, he didn't have a car either. And
right. Well,
again, I feel, because you know why? Then I always have city girls in my head where they're like, yeah, take this man money. Don't even say thank you. Like, just do, so
you're encouraged to be that way almost.
Yeah, so I try to just say, like, it's not about the money, and like, so yeah, he doesn't have a car, but he was from New York. So again, he's telling me people don't really have cars in New York. And I was like, you know what, you're right, they don't. So I let it slide. But he didn't have a job, and he was a good guy or whatever. But he started taking advantage of me, taking advantage of my kindness. Taking it for weakness. We dated for months, and then that was during quarantine. And then he came over my apartment once I got back to LA, and he instantly wanted to wash clothes. So he brought 2 of his laundry bags to my apartment. He washed clothes using my laundry detergent. He made fun of me for little things, like if I forgot which hallway my apartment was. And so basically you start seeing like him being affected, like his ego just being like,
right.
And
like, a lot of times they'll deflect that, or they'll put you down in order to sort of like expel their energy of feeling lesser than.
Yeah, so that's what I've gotten to.
Right.
I mean, those 2 types of guys. And so that's why my dating life is not going so well.
And in summation, that is what you've experienced. Yeah, absolutely. And it's sort of a matter of figuring out, do I need to, it's a matter of knowing that you don't need to dim your light in order to let theirs shine, I'll say. So it's finding that person that is comfortable in where they are and matching you there. But another question that I feel like is relevant to this is the fact that a lot of the times, Black women, especially ones that are self-sufficient, there's sort of this stereotype that they're able to take care of themselves, that they're strong and stuff like that. So do you ever, in those situations, or just in dating in general, do you ever feel like you need to ask for more nurturing or more emotional sensitivity because of the fact that you're sort of expected, you have all this going on for yourself, maybe you don't need as much care or sensitivity?
Yeah, I need a lot of affection.
Right. Totally.
No, like that's one thing that I actually crave, and I think it's because a lot of people, like you said, on the exterior, you look at me, and because I handle business and because I do what I have to do, because I hustle, because I grind, because like, you know, I'm out here living on faith, like that's a struggle in itself.
Right.
That's difficult in itself. So if I'm dating someone or trying to get to know someone, it's mainly for affection, pretty much for affection. And affection and what's that other word I'm looking for? Starts with a C.
Compassion, caring.
Yeah. No. Companionship.
Oh yeah. And consistent companionship at that.
Consistent companionship. Yeah. That's so hard too. I'm like, what is going on here?
Absolutely.
Everyone needs that. I think, especially as women. I mean, I know some men, you know, need that as well. So
right, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think especially women that are deemed as like self-sufficient, and like I said, you know, women who have their own, like they have to sort of take that extra step in order to ask for it, because it's sort of expected of them that they don't need it or they don't want it, you know what I mean? So it's a whole thing. And go ahead if you're gonna say something.
No, I was gonna say, but it's also like, how soon do you let them know that that's what you want?
Right.
Then in the beginning, you're supposed to, like, it's a whole stereotype.
Well, that's another C word, communication.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Communication is important, but then again, like, people also say you're not supposed to like scare the guy off. You're not supposed to tell him what I'm looking for. Like, let it be a mystery. Let him, like, you know, fall for you. Let him miss you. So that goes along with, do I listen to these people? Like, you know, or do I just say how I feel? But then you can easily come across as crazy, as I guess, to the wrong guy who's not really, you know, willing to reciprocate. It is whatever it is that you need. So I don't know.
I don't know. Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's crazy to see how calculated dating can become, which I think is especially true. And for you, someone who works in the industry, you know, you live in LA. So I think the dating pool over there, and like here in Miami, it's a different sort of game. And then comes in line online dating, which we have to talk about, because I think it's especially relevant, not just like in our age groups, but also, you know, with the pandemic, everyone's been kind of like searching for love online. So I want to know, do you feel like online dating has enhanced your romantic life, or has it maybe stunted it? Have you had more quarrels with it? What's been your experience with that?
Online dating? But the last couple of years, like, I'm gonna keep it 100, that's pretty much what I've been doing. Because, I mean, I don't really like to go out like that. And for me, I feel like if I'm talking to someone, I get to know them, and then eventually when we meet in like a week or like that weekend, then it's like, it's pretty much like the same thing. I think online dating to me mentally is like the middleman. That's how I say. Yeah, it's just the middleman. But yeah, I don't know.
Has your overall experience been more, would you say, positive? Because I mean, I feel like, I don't know.
I think it's been, Jasmine, it's been negative, if you really want to know. It's been negative because these guys lied to me. Online dating allows people to create an image or create this whole vibe that they're on, and then as soon as they see me, it's like, oh my God, like, I'm so scared. I told you, it's either like, I'm so scared, oh my God, I can't handle this girl, oh my God, I'm just gonna leave her alone and dip. Or it's like, oh, she has all of this. I had this guy look in my closet and say, it's a pretty big closet, just not big enough for all my sneakers. And I'm like, sir, you know what I'm saying? So now you're trying to say like, you're not big enough for your sneakers because you have 250 sneakers? Like, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that. So no, I don't like online dating. As a matter of fact, I stopped online dating, and I'm no longer online dating. And I think it's a habit. I think once women get on dating apps, it's kind of hard to get off because I think you're swiping and swiping and swiping. My sister and I, we laugh so much because we're like, oh, I'm building a new team.
Right. Yeah. Literally. Yeah.
But that's pretty much what it is. You build a team, and one by one they just fall off, and you might have one that sticks it out. You know what I'm saying? And then when that one drops, you gotta find a new team. You feel me? Like, just it's a rotation. So it's like a merry-go-round, and I'm off of the Ferris wheel. I'm off. So I will be meeting people in person. The only problem I have with in person is that I think I'm so tunnel vision when I go out that I'm not sure when guys are flirting with me. Mm-hmm. Like the other night I went down by my fireplace, and I was with my friend, and this guy was clearly flirting with me, but I had no idea until she was like, "Girl, what are you saying?" And he asked me, he got my number and everything. He's like, "Oh, call me, like, I'll take you to lunch, da, da, da." And I was just like, "Okay, thank you, sir." You know, because my thing is like, if you're doing this with me, how many other girls are you doing this with? Like,
right.
But then, so that's just my logic. But nah, I'm not dating anymore. I'm
online at the very least.
I'm not doing no more online dating.
I mean, I think that it definitely gets a negative rep. And I have my own horror stories. I have so many friends who have had horror stories, but I think there's also like you said, it can really serve as the middle ground. I mean, what's the huge difference between, I just had deja vu. What is the difference between meeting somebody, you know, in a Barnes and Nobles, and then, you know, meeting someone online and choosing to meet for the first time at a Barnes and Nobles? But I think the real thing that comes into play here is the idea that men put up facades, women as well. But I think as, you know, a woman who's comfortable in her own, a successful woman like you, like, I think you sort of present who you are pretty openly and pretty boldly. Mm-hmm. And men who in turn have presented something that's more false of themselves, mm-hmm. that's kind of where things fall through. So I don't think it's online dating. It's more of a matter of people being authentic. You know what I mean?
Well, I've been doing this for like 3 years. Right. And those are the only people I come across. But then again, I also have like people who I know, family who I know, mm-hmm. who are engaged, who've gotten married. Like, I know these people.
Right.
And so so that's also why I was like, you know what, let me just give it another chance, like repeatedly, until I just decided to stop. But and you have Instagram, you have these little videos and like memes, and they're like, oh, we met on Tinder 2 years ago, now we have 3 kids and living lovely. And then you see these like shows on Netflix, Married at First Sight, and then you see, you know, these couples are still together. You see, what's the other show? Love is Blind. And I'm like, if they can do it, I can do it too.
Yes, of course.
Apparently I can't. That's the moral, okay? That's the moral of the story. It's not for me. People lie, okay? So
people do all that. I have heard a lot, especially within this week, I've heard of people lying about just like who they are, which is it's an obstacle to overcome, definitely. But I'm grateful for our online dating, because especially like in situations like quarantine and the pandemic, it's helped us connect. But it's something definitely to overcome. Switching gears though, because I think we can go on for hours about that. I do want to know if there are maybe certain stereotypes that you felt like you had to overcome when meeting a new guy, just like being who you are and present yourself. Do you feel like, I don't know, you had to overcome that at all, or prove yourself in any way?
No, not really. The only thing I would say is that I always have to look my best in the beginning.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't always like looking my best.
Right.
So it's something that I have to like keep up and act like I just walk around like this all the time, and like
I'm the same way.
I really don't. My favorite outfit is probably like this t-shirt, as a matter of fact, that I'm wearing. And this is my favorite shirt in the world. And sweatpants. So yeah, in the beginning, you know, you gotta put this whole like just you gotta do too much. And you gotta smile a lot. And it's okay to smile a lot, but like sometimes I just be wanting to just rest my face a little bit. But other than that, I mean, whatever. Listen.
I Well, you know what? I'm the same way because I can't stand putting on makeup. And like, I feel like once you get into like the cycle of like the first time we met, I was caked up. So now like the second time we meet, I have to be caked up again. It becomes like this weird thing, but I don't know, how do we normalize not needing to do that? You know what I mean? Like,
girl, you're gonna always have to do it. That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, so my face will be beat, okay? Beat to the, and you can't even see me now, but like, beat to the gods, okay?
Girl, I got eyeshadow on.
You said what?
I got eyeshadow on, like, this is normal for me.
Yeah, oh my God, I have eyeshadow on too. But see, I had a little brown because I'm like, okay, it's during the day. But listen, so then you beat your face, like in the beginning, and then like you beat it again the next time you see him.
Right.
You beat it again, but this time a little less beat.
Right.
And then you keep putting less and less, and yeah, until it just fades out. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I've had to sleep with makeup on before. Yeah, do you sleep with makeup on?
I try not to.
I know it's not good for you, but like, I had to sleep with makeup because I couldn't wake up and like be like,
right,
like,
100%, yeah.
Especially like morning light, it's
the most telling.
Yeah, it really is. So,
I mean, the morning thing hasn't been like too prominent because, I mean, yes and no. Honestly, I try to avoid it, but I will say that like it's just like it's almost like a cultural norm. Because the thing is that I'm not necessarily insecure with how I look without makeup, but I do know that if I'm going to meet a guy, I have to be caked up, and it's like, I don't know. I'd like for that to be broken, but I think it's always good to kind of be that way. And that's just the way things are. What's something that you refuse to compromise in a partner through all of the relationships and all the dating that you've gone through?
That's a good one. Consistency.
Right.
I think being consistent is like so important to me. I feel like in the beginning, if you let me know straight up, like, look, I'm not a texter, but I will call you, X, Y, and Z, or like, I don't like to talk on the phone, but I will come by and see you. Like, it has to be consistent, whatever it is, because I'm the type where if a guy switches up on me, I will have anxiety. Like, I'm not joking. Like, I will be up all night trying to figure out, I will Google, like, what does it mean when a guy says this? And I try to interpret and analyze their text messages. So I need consistency and I need honesty.
Yes.
Facts. Like, consistency and honesty. What else? I think that's pretty much it. The very minimum. Like, I'm not even that difficult. Do you see this? Like, I'm not even asking for the world. Like, I'm really not. Like, if you're gonna be like horrible to me, just be consistently horrible. That's all I ask.
Don't switch up on me.
Don't switch up, okay? Because then I would be like, what's going on? Okay. But no, I think that's pretty much it. Honesty, really.
But those are really those are like fundamentals. I feel like to even ask anything more outside of somebody who isn't being consistent or honest is a waste of time. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, of course you would want that. Are there things that maybe they have wanted or required of you that you weren't willing to give?
Yeah. They don't really, a lot of guys don't really want me to speak my mind or let them know how I feel. If something is bothering me,
no.
They mark it as like, oh, now you're being confrontational. Or like, why are you bringing this up? Or like, man, let it go. That was days ago. And it's like, it doesn't matter if it was days ago. We didn't talk about it. Right. Or we didn't rip it in the bud. It's like, how am I supposed to move on? And I don't hold grudges, but I will never forget. And I'm the type, I'll never forget, and I'll bring it up like 2 weeks later and be like, oh, that was that time you didn't want me to tie my shoe because you said I was going to do that. Like, something like that. So
100%. Which is, I think is interesting because like, and I'm wondering how this plays out within like different ethnicities, but like if we're talking about dating as a Black woman, I feel like there's this whole stereotype that is like the angry Black woman stereotype, right? So I wonder if like when you are just maybe merely expressing your feelings about something, expressing an emotion maybe 2 degrees above happy, And they can automatically deem that as like confrontational or aggressive or something like that. What's been your experience with that? Do you feel like they'll put you in a box when you're just...
of course. And I even said to myself, I'm like, man, so I'm not gonna lie, like I was kind of judging almost everyone in a relationship because I was like, oh, y'all out here submissive. Like everyone in a relationship has like, you're submissive because you do, like even me, like the way I talk, I'm very blunt, I'm very direct. So I find myself having to just change up my tone. Maybe, you know, passing the remote and say, hey, you can watch whatever you want. By the way, the other day when you said this and that, you know, that really hurt my feelings. But it's still going to be like, how did that hurt your feelings? Or why are we talking about something in the past? So, yeah, I definitely had to change my tone of voice. Ask them in a different way. Again, it has to do with their ego. Stroke their ego. You cannot hurt their feelings.
Right.
Men are very sensitive.
Men are very sensitive, yeah.
That's one thing that I realized. Like men are very,
and they're not, or they're not allowed to be like comfortable in their sensitivity. So it plays out in other ways. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Where do you find like the fine line? This is something I think a lot of women should talk and think about. But where do you find the line between like compromising who you are in order to, you know, pass on the remote and not, you know, start a ruckus, and the other side of it, which is like maybe growing in a way that you weren't comfortable growing before, if you know what I mean, sort of.
Yeah,
like,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Emotions.
Yeah. So my grandma, because I asked her that same question. I was like, Grandma, I'm confused. I don't know, like, if this guy is for me or not. And she told me, she said, is he helping you or is he harming you? Is he doing good for you or is he doing bad for you? Is he giving you good advice or is he giving you bad advice? It's going to cost you pain down the line. So that's one thing that I always think about. And then I always realize I take a second because I'm very in tune with myself. I'm a firm believer of God, the universe, angels. So I always take a look at myself and I say, you know what? Am I being true to myself right now? Or like, am I switching up? Like, am I not being my true, authentic self? Because sometimes that happens, especially as women. I'm not going to say we lose ourselves, but because whoever it is, I mean, we have this thing where we just have goggles on, or we are blind. And so we overlook a lot. We overlook a lot. So I think having standards and boundaries is so important, especially if you're willing to, you know, to be in a long-term relationship. Like, you have to have standards and boundaries. And I would say have like a mental checklist and say like, wait, is this something that I would do normally? Or is this just because like, I don't want to lose this guy? So just being true to yourself and then recognizing who you are as an individual, because I feel like it's so easy to just let go. And then before you know it, that's what you see on these movies, and you have people who are like, oh my God, I used to love gardening and I haven't even been in the garden in ages, or I forgot how to ride a bike because I wasn't allowed to. Like,
it's very easy to lose your identity. Absolutely. Which is, I think the main lesson, if anything, is to make sure that before you get into anything with anybody, that you are very strong in who you are. Like, the foundation of who you are and how you feel about yourself and who you identify as, that needs to be solidified before you date. Because if not, it's very easy to lose yourself and to look at it through a rose-colored lens and paint red flags white and, you know, ignore the signs because you think that, you know what I mean? So I think that is something I'm really glad that you brought up and that you said it so eloquently, because I think a lot of women really...
Yeah, of course. Like, I laugh because it's like, whatever guy I'm dating at the time, like, if he's into sneakers, oh, best believe I'm into sneakers. You know what I'm saying? I'm into sneakers. If he likes football, oh, like, I remember I dated this guy, like, his favorite team was like the Jets. I went and got like Jets on my nails. And I was like, babe, look, like, mind you, that was years ago, but like, why? You know what I'm saying? Why am I doing that? Like, Tempest, sit down and eat your food, please. What am I doing? You know?
I feel like that's so common for women. Do you feel like men have to do that ever? Because I feel like we're very easily will like conform to whatever it is that they want for us.
No, they don't do that. I've never experienced that in my life.
No.
I never experienced that in my life. I asked this guy, I'm like, bro, do you want Thai food? And he's like, oh, Thai food. No, I'm from New York. We eat pizza. Pizza. I'm like, bro, like you pad Thai. I'm like, hey, pad Thai. He's just like, nah, I don't know what that. It's like noodles. Like, why am I doing this? Why? And so I ate pizza. You see what I'm saying? When I went to pad Thai, I ate pizza. No, they don't compromise. No, they are who they are. And we as women, we're so loving, and you know, we just want to take care of our man.
Right.
And we just want to be open-minded. There's so many things women do to like please a man. Like not like, I mean, like even as bad as like going to a freaking, I don't know, jitsu class just because he loves jitsu.
Was that an example, or it looked like you just like went to a memory? Did you do that?
A little bit. It was a little bit of both. I think in my past life, subconsciously, that really affected me.
It's very personal when you brought that up.
Yeah, I'm like, jitsu. Oh, it's yoga because Chris loves yoga. Oh, and right. So I'm like, okay, it's not that serious. Like, I get it. Yoga's great, but like, we're not going to do yoga in my kitchen. And he like got upset because I didn't want to do yoga in my kitchen. So you know what I did?
Yoga in your kitchen.
I put some pants on and I did yoga in my kitchen. We didn't even have mats. And I said, oh, let's go get some music. Nah, you don't need no music. Clearly you do. You need music. But did I tell him that? No, I didn't tell him you need music. I just said, okay. And I did yoga in my kitchen. So, yeah.
Women are definitely more willing to compromise, is the moral of that story.
Yeah.
For sure, definitely. Ooh, child. And honestly, of course it goes without saying that, like, not all men are the same. And obviously there are many men who are willing to meet you in the middle, just as women are, and equally grow and learn. But the reality of it is that this is kind of what women encounter in the dating scene right now, especially as women who, you know, aren't looking for anything but love, you know, and that's what's unique here, is that you're not looking for anyone to take care of you, you're not looking for anyone.
Right.
Yeah, you're just looking for love. And I think men by that. I think that a lot of times their identity lies in being the providers and being the caretakers. So when there is a woman that's taken care of and that's providing for herself and simply just would like you to come along for the ride, I think that there's a lot of insecurity that can come up, because they're like, well, what can I offer then, you know?
Yeah, I had this one guy, that's a good point that you made. That was huge. That was super deep.
That just came out of nowhere, but it was something I kind of realized, but yeah.
No, I think I needed to hear that, because that's pretty much it. That answers all my questions.
I solve your like life, yeah.
Yeah, because he said to me, listen, like, people always say relationships are 50-50, but it's really 100-100, because a lot of people think if you bring half of yourself and the other person brings half of themselves, that's my other half. No, but you're supposed to be whole.
Exactly.
Going into a relationship, you're supposed to be whole. And I feel like a lot of people in general aren't whole. I still have issues that I'm struggling with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're not whole, and that goes back to what you said, it's easy for a guy to dish out money. These guys that I'm talking about, they dished out money. Even though they don't have a car, like, it's not about that. They're the ones who pay for dinner. They pay for all the meals. They pay for all my drinks. If I need something, they pay for gas. Like, they do that. So physically dishing out money, I think for like a man's point of view, that's something that they're used to. They know that if they have to keep a woman, they know they're gonna have to dish out money. But when you have someone like me who has my own money, I'm not asking you for money. I don't need you to do anything for me. I need you to be vulnerable. I need you to be committed. And that is what I think scares guys. So then when it scares them, then ultimately brings them to being, okay, rude, because now their ego is affected, or they're not rude and they're just like, you know what, I can't do this. And they just bail. And it leaves me being confused, like, what happened? So it's not even like that person. Like, so dating for me is like, it's always ended at that point. Mm-hmm. Everything's good. Us being friends, us laughing together, going out on dates, that's all good. But when it comes to the nitty gritty, because I'm 29 years old and I'm not wasting my time, when it comes to that point, it's either like, look, are you gonna go left or right? And majority of them went left.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why I said I'm not doing any more online dating. I'm just gonna let God take over and just handle that, because I'm sick of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna waste.
Yeah. That was so. Thank you for that. That was very, very powerful, because I think it really does bring into, it just brings up the notion that a lot of men at times don't really know how to act when they're taken outside of the role that they thought they were meant to play. Like I said, as the provider, you know what I'm saying? When they're encouraged to embrace their vulnerability and their sensitivity, which is something that it's not necessarily their fault that they haven't really been encouraged to embrace it. When you're in this situation, they kind of just don't really know how to respond, and sometimes that is in an egoic manner. So they'll be mean or they'll be belittling, and then it's a matter of having these conversations outwardly so that men understand that a lot of women can easily provide for themselves. I mean, for me personally, I make my own money, and a lot of the times when I go on a date, I get very, 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 and I know this isn't really common, but I have talked to people who felt this, but like, I get uncomfortable when things are paid for me, because I'm so used to doing it for myself. And so that in turn leaves them uncomfortable, because they're like, well, what, like, well, what am I supposed to, you know what I'm saying? And I would rather, I'm just here for the company, you know what I mean? So
I think and not to like disregard what you're saying, honestly, I think that comes with age and maturity, and like the more you date. Because when I was like younger, I would be like, oh my God, yeah, can I have a refill? Like, you know what I'm saying? But like now it's not like that. And again, a lot of women are just expected. They're like, yeah, he's gonna pay. Like, I'm not reaching for my wallet. Me, to this day, I still like, oh, like look down, or like I still like pretend like I'm gonna like, you know, like I still get that little like, do you want to, and they'll say like, I got it, because I always offer. I'm like, do you want to go half, or do you want me to just pay for my food? I always offer, and it's up to them to say, no, I got it. And even when they do that, I'm like, oh, that's so nice, and that's like, oh, that's so nice. But then you have other women who are like, duh, that ain't nothing, a meal. So it's like,
right.
When am I gonna get to that stage?
Do you ever feel it? do you ever feel the kind of way when they do allow you to pay for your own meal, or when they do say, okay, let's go 50-50? Like, do you think that's respectful at all?
No, I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's bad at all, especially because like I went on one date, and we went to this like museum place, but like it cost money to get in, and like he paid for my ticket. And the ticket wasn't cheap, so he paid for my ticket, and then paid for my drinks. And then we went to this restaurant, and it was kind of pricey, like a little expensive. And I was like, oh, I don't mind, you know, like paying for my food or whatever. And he was like, yeah, no, let's just go half. So we just split the bill like down the middle. And I was like, that's not a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have no problem doing that.
Right.
Yeah. And then we got ice cream. He paid for ice cream. It was sweet, because I feel like even with my man in the future, like, I don't mind going half, or I don't mind paying for certain things, or I don't mind buying stuff.
I think that's fair, if anything, but I don't know. It's a lot of debate.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess we'll see, but are there any last and final, I don't know, just like advice that you would give from your experiences being 29 and dating to someone who maybe is feeling like they're not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, or they're feeling like they need to belittle themselves, or not belittle, but maybe diminish themselves as a successful woman? Any advice or words of wisdom that you would impart?
Yeah. First and foremost, I would say never dim your light. And these are everything that I'm saying. I say to myself, do not dim your light for anyone. Have boundaries, set standards, because I mean, you have to have a plan at the end of the day. You can't just be out here like a leaf blowing in the wind. So definitely have standards, have boundaries, and stick to them. And if you're with someone, or if you're associating yourself with someone or dating someone, and you notice yourself being different, or like you check yourself, because I think it's so important to check with yourself, check in with yourself all the time, and you notice something's off, or like, normally I would do this, but I didn't do this, and you find yourself being a little, odd, yeah, that's probably not the relationship for you. And if so, you need to have a conversation with that person, let them know how you're feeling. I think being open and being vulnerable is huge, because you don't have time to waste, and you don't want to waste that other person's time. And that's a lot of times that happens. You'll find yourself in situations for years, and then you find out that's not even who I was supposed to be with, who God has for me. So I think just being open, authentic, setting boundaries, and checking in with yourself, I think that's key.
100%. And I would say that I think a woman always intuitively knows. Even if our minds get us confused and dazed, I think if you stop the noise and you really check in with how is your gut feeling when you're around this person or what this person brings to you, your body will always let you know. And what you just brought up that we hadn't even talked about, but I think it's really important, is standards. I think a lot of women, and men, of course, it goes without saying, but I think people compromise on their standards when they reach a point of desperation for love. And that is the most detrimental thing that you can do. I think if once you're sure of yourself and you know what you deserve, you should never, break that. And there is a fine line between, like, am I asking for things that maybe perhaps aren't even in alignment with what I really want, that are maybe superficial things, and then there's things that you don't deserve to have to compromise on. So you know what that looks like for you, and stick to it. You know what I mean? Which is boundaries, like you said, honestly. Yeah,
and there's also one thing I want to add on for anyone who's on dating or serial dating or whatever the case is. I've done that as well, but what I learned to do is learn from each experience. Don't think of each experience like, oh my God, he wasn't the one, I suck. No, just say, okay, what did I learn from this? And is this truly, truly, truly what I wanted? And then you move on to the next one. Where I learned from this. Okay, next time I'm gonna do this. Like, you're learning too as you go along. So that's what I've done too. I've learned as I've gone on. I was like, maybe I don't want to do this, or maybe I do want to do this. And then you start switching things up and things get better. And then, you don't cry after every time someone breaks your heart or someone wants to stop talking to you, or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? If you just keep finding yourself like swiping on the same guy, or like the type of same guy, and you're like, what is going on? Switch it up a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely switch it up. Yeah.
Everything is a learning experience. And I think that sometimes people forget what dating is. Like, I think because people are so ready to find their match and find their husband or their wife, that they forget that sometimes dating is just dating, and it's exploring like and meeting people and having the experience so that you can figure out what do you want and value in a partner for a lifetime, and then finding that.
Yeah.
So like, don't get discouraged when things don't work out because they weren't supposed to work out,
Exactly.
Yeah. And trust.
That's literally what dating is. I think it's so important that we have to know that. Like, this is what we're doing. It's almost like, what do you think pre-K and like kindergarten was? Like, what do you think? Like, what do you think that is? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all learning until you get to your big dream or whatever it is. Yeah, it's levels. It's levels along with it.
Yeah. And you'll be fine. Yeah. Also, I think of course we don't have to say it, but like, you can't love anyone until you love yourself. So make sure you're good with you.
Exactly. Right? Gotta be whole.
Beautiful. Well, Tem, thank you for having this conversation with me. Is there anything that you want to promote or that you want the people to know about what you have in the works?
Well, you know what? I'm in the works of filming and shooting my web series, so stay tuned for that. One thing about me is like, I'm such a creative, my mind like dots all over the place, so I just need to stay focused and like actually put these things in order, because once I start like on an idea, I'm like, oh my God, what about this? But yes, nonetheless, that is coming soon, so I'll put that out. And hopefully this whole pandemic is over soon, and I wish everyone safety, and I wish everyone nothing but health and wellness, especially during this time. And just stay positive, stay prayed up. Black Lives Matter.
Period.
And yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Anna Taylor's Killers Still Walk Free. I think we could just also throw that in there. There's still officers, which is ridiculous. So yeah. But shifting gears, thank you for every piece of wisdom, because I think there is such a power in being so open with your experience and sharing what it is that you just go through every day as a woman, because that empowers other women to like speak up about what they're going through. And then I don't know, there's a community that's built within womanhood when we are honest.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, it's not a war.
No,
we're not against each other. Like we should be. I guarantee you, if we all like as women like talked about this and like have like a virtual like meeting, like we can do some things out here, you know what I'm saying? We can, you know what I'm saying? We're meant to run the world, so we can do this. So I have no problem opening up, and I hope at the end of the day that I was able to help someone, whatever it is they're going through. Hopefully I can touch you in some type of way, you know what I'm saying?
Period. Yeah, absolutely. And you give permission for people to do the same. So thank you for being your authentic self. As far as I'm concerned, you can catch me on YouTube, Jasmine Kylene, Instagram, Jasmine Kylene, ValueLaLuna.tv. Sign up for my newsletter. And yeah, that's it. I hope everyone stays safe and sane and healthy and blessed. Black Lives Matter. Yeah.